BroBro.com in the building. You know what it is. We
Bro,
got
talk. You know it.
Bro Talk. We got a special guest. We got K Rob in the building. We got Parlay Hunter, myself. And if you hear that music in the background, Life of D Green, if you hear that music in the background, that's K Rob right now. I'm going to turn it up and turn it down. We'll start the interview.
Okay. Yeah, let that joint play. I was literally listening to this the other day.
Just dropped this
I
yesterday.
was. No, this is the new. I'm
Yeah, I
talking
just.
about what's
Oh yeah, like the
the
album,
one
or just a single.
the drop you did with the hearts.
Oh yeah, the little
Yeah.
EP.
Yes, that's the banger.
All right.
Here we go. This guy, bro.
I love the energy, bro. I love
That's
the
that
energy.
vacation music.
Hey, you gotta learn how to write backwards, bro, because your whole whiteboard is backwards.
Hey, I had to do that so that y'all could read it.
Backwards.
But
I'm
we
looking
can't read it.
You can't read it? No, I actually wrote it backwards so that you could read it frontwards.
Oh, Zoom already takes care of that, bro. I guess. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Well, K Rob in the motherfucking house, BroBro.com. You know what it is. If you can't read backwards, then hey, that's not my problem. Let's start the interview.
Go to the next podcast, like you.
But yeah, man. So we got my man K Rob in the building. I've been knowing this brother for a minute now, man. Easily 15 plus in the making. Grew up playing football with him, man. And we always like to start off with the journey and talking about where you come from. A lot of our people that we've been interviewing from the city, but man, we're gonna let you speak your two piece of where you from and what you was doing back then and what you're doing now, man. What's your profession and what's your gift?
For sure, for sure. I'd say I'm a man with many talents, but yeah, I grew up over north side Minneapolis. Started off with the PAL football with my guy Dre.
Indeed, man.
Fourth grade, fifth grade type stuff.
Waffle.
And I don't know, my life's always been kind of revolved around football, a lot of connections through that. And then I'll just kind of fast forward, like in high school, my art teacher would just always be like, oh my gosh, Kasey, like, I just love the way you hold the brush and I love the way that you hold your pencil. And I'm just like, what are you talking about, woman? This is like my junior year of high school. I'm just trying to get an easy A, like just like everybody else. And she was just hyping me up like on the daily. And so at this point, I'm fighting for like a football scholarship. I was talking to like the U of M and Iowa, and basically like it came down to my senior season whether or not I would get a scholarship and what other athletes they were recruiting that decided to basically take the offer or not. So it was crazy because then my senior year, my art teacher convinced me to take like the advanced art class. So I was like, I got an A last year. I'll just get another easy A, boost my GPA up. Why not? And then like halfway through that, she convinced me to submit portfolios to all of the colleges I applied to. And I actually got an art scholarship before I got a football scholarship. And so like just playing football my whole life, I was just like, wow, this doesn't make any sense. Like I've been grinding my butt off to get a football scholarship. And here I am with an art scholarship that I didn't even try for. So that kind of like sparked something in me. I was like, all right, well, maybe I do have something here. So yeah, I don't know. I eventually went to play at the University of Minnesota for a year, my sophomore year, played at Drake University my freshman year. And then I quit after my sophomore year. I quit football because I don't know, something just didn't feel right to me. I just was losing interest day by day. My coaches weren't showing me respect, but the defensive back coaches were. So I was just like, all right, like the DB coaches like me more than the wide receiver coaches. So like, how does this make sense? And then I got only like 3 plays in spring ball, and they were all run plays. And I'm just like, you guys know me, I'm not that big. So I'm just sitting there like, why are you guys only putting me in on run plays? This is bogus. Like 2 of the times I got my ass blown over. So I was like, I'm like, all right, if y'all put me in on another run play, I'm just going to stand over here and act like you guys did not say my name because this is some BS. And so I quit after spring ball, and then I eventually dropped out of college and held my own art show, like as my semester. Basically, I made my own curriculum, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just paint every single day. And I was low key trapping at the same time, so it was a smooth little lifestyle, just making money and making art all day, every day.
For sure.
And then I held my own art show, and I sold every single painting in there. And I was just like, yo, this is crazy. I've never seen this much money in one day in my entire life. Um, Even still, I haven't made that much money in one single day. And so,
How
yeah,
much was it?
I'm gonna keep that disclosed just 'cause.
I feel it. I
But
had to try you real quick.
yeah, no, but I was able to donate a good amount to Washburn Center for Children.
Okay.
They're over they're pretty much north side Minneapolis, like 5 minute drive from downtown. And that was kind of the whole purpose of, actually, that still is kind of the whole purpose of why I make art. Because like, if I can sell a painting for $5,000, $2,000, $800, like, to me, that's just passive income in some kind of way, because I'm gonna be painting anyways. So somebody else might as well get blessed through this blessing with me. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my whole purpose with art, is to just like extend these blessings into the world, have it impact communities in some kind of way. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell, to be honest.
My
Where
first Go ahead. I'm gonna let you
Oh,
finish
just like
that thought.
where I'm at today, basically. That all of that kind of led up to where I'm at today. So
I feel it. My first real question is like, being an artist, do you see that more as a gift? And do you see it's a double-ended sword on this question, because it's like it is your gift, but my thing is is it your profession, but is it a gift? Because do you see yourself expanding more? I know we've talked a lot off record about, plans and things you got going on, but
yeah.
to the common people that don't know you, do you see it as a profession? Is this something that you think you're going to be doing long term and not nothing else, or is this just a gift that you're going to always, rock with, fuck with, always be able to? It's just like, for somebody to be like Dave Chappelle or even Kevin Hart. Now they're always going to go back to, stand up comedy, but they're making movies, they're, producing movies, they're all of that. How do you view art? Is art always going to be in that forefront?
That's a really good question, because like, to me, like, this is just like a form of art. So I don't know. I go through phases where I don't even want to paint. Um, but I'll still be doing art in like a different medium, whether it's like creating somebody a logo, or designing a website, or whatever. So I guess like art in a whole is definitely my profession. When it comes to painting specifically, I would say it's just like a gift that I like to exercise and just kind of find a flow with, and not really, because I don't like to like paint. I don't even really enjoy doing commissions anymore for people, unless it's something I genuinely have a spark and like an interest in, if that makes sense.
I got a question. Do you get an itch when you don't create for a long period of time? Like, if you don't get like flex those juices, do you get an itch? Do you go into like a dark place, or like what happens to you if you don't create for a while?
Man, that's a great question, because like I never even really think about it, to be honest. And I don't really like stop making art either. So I guess there's definitely an itch.
So you'll never know because you're just gonna keep creating. Did that
Yeah,
did that teacher that like focused on you when you were younger? What does that teacher mean to you? Did that like do you think about that teacher a lot? Do you feel like that teacher changed your life?
yeah, 100%, bro. Like, she was an angel to my life, bro. Like, I think that angels can come in human form too, or just like through a situation or whatever. And I just happened to be in her presence for her to bless me, because like, I'll never forget her always like coming up to me and being like, trompe l'oeil, which means in French, like trick of the eye. And so she would be like, Kasey, you have the trompe l'oeil. And I'd just be like, I guess, I'm just
It's crazy because like teachers are so important to kids, in that sense.
and that's, man, I actually wanted to kind of dive into that, but I'll kind of wait a second until we get into that type of conversation.
Hey, we are the show that's the unscripted, the unprepared. Go ahead, man. You could dive into it, ask us questions because we want to get our perspective on your avenue too, because it's all type of social issues and just issues period that we got to address, and that's what we want to maximize here.
For sure. So I just went to this meeting. What was it, on Friday? Yeah, so like 3 days ago. And it wasn't that many people, but it was a bunch of Black folk and then one white person. And we were all just kind of like brainstorming and talking and sharing ideas about how we can start to collectively change the narrative of like this victimized state of being as a community. And one of the things that we talked about was the lack of Black teachers in school. Like, how many Black teachers did you guys have in high school or any grade or whatever? Like, how many would you say?
I get less than one hand I can count. Probably
Right.
probably three. I can't remember more than three.
I mean, it's hard because my adjustment I know Edina none. I ain't have none in Edina, but I mean, growing up in Willard, I had Miss Rose was my second grade. I had some in middle school when I went to Franklin. So yeah, I could probably almost put it on two hands. I could definitely put it on two hands. I did. I'm not gonna be lying like, oh no, it wasn't always bad, but I understand the point we're making. Like, yeah, it definitely needs that. And not even, we're just saying Black and brown, just, Spanish teachers. We need everything because the crazy thing about America is to continue to grow far as cultures, ethnicity, however you say that. It's growing. It's growing with all of that every day, bro. You think about it, we're seeing the most we've ever seen in what's going on in this world,
Right. But yeah, it's pretty crazy though, because like from the preschool until we graduate college, I don't know, like Hunter, you went to college, right?
No, I didn't go to college. I just did some
It's
other
quite the
things
time
in high
anyway,
school.
most of the time. But
What?
Jay, you went to college too, didn't you? Yeah. Like for me, bro, I'm not even capping. I think I had one Black teacher all the way from preschool up until I graduated college. I had a couple Hispanic teachers, but like it's just crazy the lack of, and most of the time they'll be women too and not men. And we lack a lot of leadership within the education space from Black men specifically. And it's hard too, like the ripple effect that has. Just like, I remember as a kid, like I got made fun of for like wanting to read one time. And that's like ingrained in my mind that like reading is lame. And like that's some white people stuff. You know what I mean? When like I heard this quote like a few months ago, like if you want to hide something from Black people, put it in a book. And I was like, damn, I was like, that's just one of the realest things I've ever heard. And so
you think about all the history books that leave out important Black history that are in all the schools. Like, it's crazy. Like, there's so much stuff that's like, and I mean, that's stuff that people grow up and then I remember when we were talking about slavery, like we barely spent a month on slavery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like growing up, like learning those lessons, and then the textbooks themselves got all this BS about how things happen and that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, we definitely need more Black teachers in the schools.
Yeah, I always get a story, bro. Hillmeyer is hitting on that about when I didn't move, because I always tell people I never moved north side. I've been north side to the day. I'm in north side right now. But when I transferred to Edina middle school, bro, they literally legitly had 2 pages of Black history about slave trade and about slaves period moving to America, but we had 2-3 chapters at least on the Nazis and what was going on in Berlin and everything. And I feel for those people too in the Jewish community and everything, but I'm Black before I'm anything. And for y'all to not show gratitude, show at least some sympathy to what we've been through. It showed me something through the districts of Minnesota. And then let's not hit the elephant in the room. We know now, 2022, Hillemeyer lives in New York, Parlay Hunter living in New York right now. But it's like he knows. And people around America, we see it now with George Floyd and everything, how racist as a state it is as a whole. So we know what districts they take care of as far as the teachers and, the coalitions and groups like that. They're not doing that for Minneapolis. And I mean, it ain't just Minneapolis though, because these students are, in the burbs now. And so it should be Black teachers in every district, to be honest. Like it should be Black teachers at Breck. It should be, Black teachers at Benil St. Margaret's, Blake, all of that. So it's a whole roundtable talk, but more heads got to come to the table and more power has to be equal. And power is just not, put people in position. No, power is voice, it's leadership, and people got to be able to listen and not just talk.
Right. And a big issue with that too, though, is a lot of our people are following culture or trying to find their purpose within culture rather than finding their purpose single-handedly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like our culture kind of has our thoughts backwards, where it's like, oh, that's not cool. I'm not gonna waste my time with that kind of a mentality, versus like being like, yo, there's a gap over here. Who's gonna man up and take responsibility and step in and fulfill that purpose in that role? You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just I don't know. It's a whole long. We could go down the rabbit hole forever type of stuff, but that's kind of.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll let you finish. Excuse me, my bad.
Oh, you good? You good?
Well, I was just gonna say. Then you reflect and you think about everywhere in Minneapolis. I mean, the police system, the judges, there needs to be more. There needs to be more Black higher ups everywhere in Minneapolis and Minnesota. I don't see enough of it there. I mean, it's such a weird. Living there, I felt like a lot of I could see a lot of backhanded, like racism and this type of racism where it's like, I think that there's a lot of white people that like things the way that they are, and then they don't speak about it, and then they're just kind of like, because you don't see a lot of change over the years, and you've seen change in other places, other states, you know what I mean, but Minnesota seems to be lacking in that area of change.
Oh, Minnesota still practices like redlining in some kind of ways, right?
For sure. I say that all the time.
It's wild. It's wild. Like, especially within education too. Like a lot of the funds, tax money is literally distributed based off of like equity of houses in that district. So like it's that alone is like literally redlining, saying like, okay, well, you guys make less money over there, so we're gonna give you less money.
That's why they're building more Section 8 apartments and things. I mean, that's still also controlled by the state and the government. So yeah, it's the dynamics is crazy. And I was just my final thought on the point is just, it's crazy that we talking about all these professions, and growing up, the strongest community of Black people that I seen came through what K-Rob's dad and some of my other friends' dads and moms were in, which was the firefighters. That's the most Black professional people I've seen. Now we have a lot more Black police officers, but even there, we don't have enough that live in the community that they're serving in. We have more Black police officers in the suburbs that live there than we have Black police officers that live here in Minneapolis. We have a lot of white boys that are from, no offense to Parlay Hunter, but we have a lot of white officers that are from White Bear Lake and Burnsville and wherever, but I live literally right down the street from the 4th precinct, literally not even a block. And majority of them guys I see or know or come to know don't live in these areas. So it's crazy, man. But I'm gonna pivot the conversation to talk about your clothing brand, and kind of, was that around, my question was for the audience's purpose, did you come up, or did you start coming with that entrepreneurial skill set right around the same time you start getting busy with the art seriously, or was this a different time?
Um,
And what is it too? Label. I want you to explain everything for everybody.
yeah, so I'll just go to the whole backstory. So it's called Triple Kings Clothing. I started that in, I want to say like 2011, 2012, actually. So
So a whole minute. See, that's
yeah,
crazy. You've been down 10 years.
yeah. I got on the clothing thing way before, Instagram was a thing, like all these
Mm-hmm.
clothing brands are left and right. Like this has been a long-term vision of mine, but it started out actually as my brother, he was running triathlons. So like the water, I think you swim first and then you bike and then you run. And so he hit me up like, yo, can you just make me a t-shirt, like a dope t-shirt for my triathlon? And I was like, yeah, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Because like this is around the time that my art teacher was pushing me and like I got an art scholarship. So I was kind of like dabbling with it. And so I made him a shirt and we came up with the name Triple Kings because like dominating each aspect of the race. That's the story behind the name of the clothing brand. And then I went to college and it kind of fell off. I just got super busy with life and sports and everything. And then like 2015, I tried to like bring it back, but I realized it was kind of unsustainable, not only in the fact that like you need a pretty good amount of capital, but also just the practices that go behind the clothing industry. Like I really started to learn about fast fashion, slave labor, overseas manufacturing that just like literally will have like 7-year-olds working all day type stuff and then pay them like a penny or two per shirt that they make. So like they're leaving the day with like less than $1. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's actually true or not, how much they would make each day, but it was basically not a living wage. And they're supporting child labor, all of that kind of stuff. So I was like, whoa, I don't want to be a part of this problem. So I really stepped back and I was just like, all right, I got to figure something out that makes sense for this because I also recently learned that the clothing industry is like the second or third largest pollutant in the world. And a lot of people don't know that. Like, it's super, like, even when you wash a polyester shirt, the microfibers in your shirt goes into the drain system, goes into the ocean.
Mm.
Now you have fish eating all these microplastics from like polyester clothes, all the plastic made clothes. So I'm actually talking with like a manufacturer that's in North Carolina, and they actually take like recycling, like they recycle plastics into t-shirts, which is super dope. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to find more sustainable ways to actually go about the clothing industry while serving a purpose through it. Because like I said, with my art, anything I do art related, which clothing to me is a form of art too. I wanted to serve a bigger purpose and to impact communities. And so we actually just partnered with a tree planting organization. Every shirt that we sell from now on is going to plant a tree somewhere in the world, which
Mm.
I don't know if you guys see all that stuff going on with the Amazon forest, but all the
Mm-hmm.
large institutions are deforesting the forest basically to make more room for cattle and, just paper consumption that we go through, wood consumption that we go through is just outrageous at this point, and it's only exponentially increasing. So I don't know. I'm trying to find ways where like my clothing brand makes sense in a sustainable way. Um, and yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. And now, so I kind of revamped the idea and the vision of Triple Kings Clothing. It really stands for mind, body, spirit, God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like dominating like those three aspects about yourself while also giving thanks to God for everything that we do. So
That's dope, bro. That's
Yeah.
really dope.
Yeah, I commend your activism. Like that's really cool that you can put that into your art and then you can, share it with the world and everything, and then everything can kind of be represented through your art. Do you see that driving your art, and do you see that in your paintings and in your clothing, the activism that you actually create, like when you are creating, does that stuff come to mind?
Yeah, so I'm actually working on like a collection of paintings right now, which I I don't know, I kind of made up my own style basically. Like I haven't really seen anything like it, but like disregard these Pac-Man ones. More so like this one I'm working on right now. That's part of the collection. So the style is called Afro Pop Surrealism. And this collection specifically is to depict like different forms of love and liberation with Black characters, or just even, I guess some of them look native or brown skin or Black folks. So basically trying to create these narratives of love and liberation, because I think that a lot of the storytelling that we do kind of revolves around our past of being slaves, which like it's great to understand our past, but we got to start to change the narrative at some point of like
Mm-hmm.
where we want to go. And so I do think that art is a really powerful form and a really powerful tool to convey those types of messages. So I am trying to be more conscious about like how I actually go about my art now and the actual message that's being depicted. So
Wow, that's huge.
yeah,
That's really cool. I mean, the
thank
fact that you're just making your own, what did you call what's it called again? Afro pop
Afro pop surrealism.
surrealism, Afro pop surrealism. Man,
Yes,
that's
I had
huge.
to write that down, low key.
That's a drop right there, man. That's a
Yeah,
bomb right there,
for
boy.
real,
sir.
for
Yeah,
real. But I was gonna ask, dang, I just had my thought.
Yeah.
Knowing how you work hard and how you a work of excellence. I've grown up on it. I know Hillamar is grown up on it. A lot of my friends, and even as an artist, you work that brush until it's perfect, dang near. Being a perfectionist. How do
right.
you see those other tools? Because I'm big on business, I'm big on entrepreneurialism and all of that. How do you see that play out? And before we got on recording, we start talking about how this and this and this, making the daily needs, the meetings, the all of that. How do you balance it all, and how do you value it all? Like what comes first, what comes last of a to-do list when you're creating a project, or the content or the content you're trying to create, or the art you're trying to create with Triple Kings, and how do you go about deciding what's next? Like.
That's a really good question. Man, I'm glad you asked that though, because like I've never really thought about this. So like with my paintings, as you can see, like this one's not incomplete yet, this red one.
Mm,
But I understand like from painting what's necessary to build up to get that final product. So like when I first started painting, I hate looking at it. Like I literally was be sitting there just cringing, like, yo, this looks like trash. But I understand where it's going. So then I just like continuously build those layers to get it to that point.
mm,
So I guess how that translates into other things is like, for instance, my website for my clothing brand, it's not super professional right now, but it gets the job done for what I need to accomplish right now, if that makes sense. So,
mm-hmm,
and then now that I'm at this phase, I'm like, okay, bet now I'm going to spend this next phase building up that layer to make it even cleaner. And then so on and so forth. And then, I don't know, I kind of look at it as like first draft, second draft, third draft, fourth draft, fifth draft, sixth draft. And let's say my 10th draft is the goal, like to have it final. I just kind of like break those into segments and try to be diligent with my time so that I can get to that 10th draft in like a timely manner. And
mm-hmm.
yeah, so I don't know. I have had like an entrepreneurial mindset just from the jump. Like I remember I would bring like Kool-Aid packets to school and sell Kool-Aid packets at school. Just, like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
like what, 25 cents to get four of them or something like that. So then I would bring them to school selling for $1 each. Like, yo,
mm-hmm.
know you're tired of drinking milk and water at lunch. So I got you on some Kool-Aid if you need it. And so, I would run it up at lunch some days. And
Mm-hmm.
I never like made crazy money or anything, but it'd be like, yo, I just turned 25 cents into $4. let's go. Like that's
Yeah.
a crazy return on investment right there.
Mm-hmm.
Percentage wise. So I've always kind of like taken like business into just my practices and understanding that like, oh, you can get something for less and sell it for more,
Mm-hmm.
based on a demand for that thing. And so, yeah, I wanted to talk about the stock market too, because like I never knew about the stock market until last year, and I'm super mad that it took me that long to figure out and even understand what the stock market is. But
Well, I think you're always trying to understand what the stock market is every week because every week it's changing. And then, but I can tell you, I think that I know that you've, I've talked to, I think we talked once about some of those investments, like some of the more nuanced investments, like LCID and Lucid and Neo and some of those things that should be doing really good right now. But you're right, because it's all like working towards a future. Everything can be an investment. Just like when you're flipping 25-cent Kool-Aid packets, it's all for a better future and stuff like that. So, I mean, it all correlates into investing now for a better future. So I really do think that, it's crazy because I was going to ask you before if we talk more about the stock market stuff, before we started the call, we talked a lot about like drafts and like kind of like, how I feel like a lot of times things get drafted. You said you make 10 drafts and things get thrown, and then do a lot of your drafts get thrown away, or do you keep a lot of your drafts?
if I know I'm gonna get to that 10th draft, I don't scrap it, but I won't start something that I'm not gonna finish. So like I have like right behind me, like these little pieces of paper, those are like sketches for these upcoming paintings. So like before I even take stuff to the canvas, when it comes to like these big ideas, I don't even like waste my time past the sketch part if it's something I'm not gonna do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So do your drafts? So do you see your drafts like come back up though, like later on, and you're like, oh, I forgot about
Oh,
this, and then
yeah.
now it's
Some of
something.
some of these I did years ago. So I'll be flipping through my sketchbook, just looking for ideas. Like I have hundreds of sketches. So
Mhm.
and sometimes it's just like a really small one, just like a simple idea. And then like a year later, I might stumble upon it and expand on that idea
Mhm.
and take it further and be like, oh dang, I completely forgot about this, you know?
And
So
that relates to stocks because you go to a beaten down stock and you remember what it was a year or 2 years ago, and like now you're like, oh, okay, now this thing's got room to move. I mean, this reminds me of a stock called HUT, which is a cryptocurrency. It's a cryptocurrency mining company. It's actually been doing really well, but it's one of those stocks that had a really good run, and then this market now it's been corrected. 15%, 20% market correction. The stock got killed, but it's been holding up pretty well. But you'll see that with your early investments. It's like sometimes these things, you can go back to them and they can, you know,
right.
be profitable later on in the future.
Yeah, I know somebody that because like if you look at Tesla, bro, like Tesla for the longest time just hovered between like what 15 and like $40. Then it finally got to like 60 for like years. You know what I'm saying? Like that thing was not going crazy anywhere past $100 up until like what 2-3 years ago.
And now you see it's in this 800 to $1,900 range, and it's just
Exactly.
going to keep trading between there until eventually it's going to be a $1,500 stock. I mean, it's going to
Yeah.
range between 15 and 1,700. So it's
Yeah.
a matter of time.
So I think it's just like you got to understand what the game is with the stock market because you have so many investors and there's just so many different types of game that people are playing within that system. So like you have your day traders, you have your like month to month leap traders, and then you have like your yearly traders, and then you have like your long-term investors.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
and for an investor yourself, it's like what's your time frame? So as an artist, what's your time frame? You know what I mean? Like because even in your art, there's a time frame of I want to get this out now, or I want to get this out 10 years from now. So it's
yeah,
I mean, I think that like there is like everything can kind of come back to investing. It's all an investment, even your art. So I
for
mean that's
sure.
what's
Are you still on the one you put me on with. I want to be politically correct before I announce him. The talking to K-Rob. Lucid, right?
Yeah.
Yep. You still
Man.
gung ho on?
Yeah, man. I mean,
just for the listeners' purposes.
At this point, I'm playing with free money because I got in on it and I was paying a lot of attention to it before it kind of blew up and had its jump back in like October, November area, and so I turned a couple hundred into a couple thousand just off of just timing, because I think the stock market really comes down to the timing of things more than anything. And so with Lucid, like I'm looking at that stock as like, bro, if I'm buying any shares, I'm holding on to that thing until like 2030. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my game plan with it. But at the same time, I'm also playing options on it. So like last week I turned, I don't know, like a couple hundred into like just 200. I made like $90 on a play in like 2 days. So like I do both, because then I'll take that money that I just made within those 2 days and then I put it into the long term and I forget about it. So
I feel it.
I'll just hold on to shares for like, if I believe in that company, I'm gonna hold on to it until, I'm like 40 years old, basically. So.
No, I feel it. But yeah, man, hey, this is the part one, man. We got a lot of good stuff. I ain't want to cut you off too short, K-Rob, but we gonna finish this, man. This is gonna be a series for sure.
I got one last thing.
Go crazy.
This is just some mind-blowing statistics right here. I read this article like a week ago because I was really interested, like, how many Black people are in the stock market versus white people? And so roughly 61% of white people are invested and this is just in America alone, have assets in the stock market, which, okay, first of all, there's 330 million people in America. Of those 330 million people, you have 247 white Americans compared to 42 million Black Americans, right? So you got 61% of that 247 million white people invested in the stock market, whereas you have 34% of that 42 million of Black people invested in the stock market. So like, even if we had 100% of all Black people trading in the stock market,